Welcome everyone back to Season 3, Tier 1, Round 1 at the Bahrain International Circuit. We are here for the first race of the season. First time in Bahrain it is. That is the first race of the season. And I'm PMBO5 and I'm joined by Milo Gaming. Welcome yourself.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Glad to have you. Now about 8-9 minutes left to qualifying. Let's go over some of the tier races this weekend that we've had. Yesterday was Tier 3 and Tier 2. The first time those tiers have ran back to back. Tier 3 had an interesting race. After penalties, GSR Raptor won the race after a post-race penalty given to JB88X. Running out the podium was JSC Hellcat, but a decent battle in Tier 3. That also ended out with Renault leading the constructor standings after the race, with Hooded Monster kind of assisting them with a 8th place finish. So, decent by them, and pretty good Tier 3 race, I'd say. It was definitely interesting in the last few laps. Well, not the last few, but probably the last 10, I'd say, overall, of Raptor and JB catching one another because they were going back and forth at it.
Yeah, it was a very competitive race, and I enjoyed watching on Twitch for the first time we've had a race. So, yeah, it was quite special to say the least, with Raptor taking a very, very surprising win, and he's now in the driving seat and leading the championship. So it'll be great. It'll be really interesting to see how he performs over the rest of the season.
Should be very interesting, and of course, the only Irish drivers yet to win now are the O'Callahans, with Paulo, Erno Khan, John Busy, all those guys yet to win a race. Those are the only guys yet to win a race or be on, well, Erno Khan and John Busy yet to be on the podium. So, very interesting to say the least with that, and you have the top 15 here in this session separated by 8 tenths. So this should be interesting. And the pole time we've already smashed from GSR yesterday and last season in this race. We'll speak about last season in a minute. Anyways, Tier 2. Want to go over that. A bit of, to say the most and the least and whatever you want to say. Pretty dirty. Not the best of races, but very interesting podium. ARL Tripod, who people do say should be Tier 1, which I can understand. You see him in the session. He's currently not, well, you see his car at least. He's currently not in the session, and that's because there was a mistake made with Tripod going in the session. It was my fault, though, but with Tripod going in the session over ABS Jarv, Tripod being a Tier 1 reserve, Jarv just being a Tier 1 reserve. Kind of unfair to Jarv at first, but Jarv, who has joined the session, will be able to get the race. But Tripod won yesterday in Tier 2. Took the dub back-to-back, and you also had as well Matty Moo, who took damage on lap 3. He took the podium. We also had Patriot, thinking that Williams, that's kind of why, but you had Patriot, who took a podium out of that after spinning on lap 1, so comebacks from those two, that was pretty interesting to say the least with
that. Yeah, and, strategy comes into play, especially like this, where you can make a one-stop work, and those that qualify outside the top 10 will have a better chance of doing so. So comeback drives, you might see a few of them over the course of this game, because there's no hard tyres now to use in qualifying. I was a bit surprised by that myself. I went into yesterday's qualifying thinking, oh, I'll try and do a hard lap, but there isn't any. So yeah, strategy is completely changed now, and it should be exciting. Oh,
just saw that out of the S's. He spun heading down to turn 8 and lost the rear of the car, which spun him around, and he's out of the session. AlphaTauri with a bad start, 17th and 19th right now for them. And everyone who's done a lap is all within a decent amount of time, 8 tenths of one another. Very interesting qualifying session so far. But Tier 2, I know, wasn't the best race for you, Milo. Of course, you couldn't really recover, unlike last season. Racing Point, so far in combined constructors, kind of racing pointless, but still, there's a lot of time to recover, so that's the good part. It's not just like it's one race and the season's done. It's you guys have time to recover and put on a show, of course.
Yeah, exactly, and it's important to, just have some self-belief and not take things to heart. because doing that will just give yourself a bit of a poor reputation going into the rest of the season. So yeah, it's not the end of the world for Racing Point. My team absolutely still loads to play for, and some unique tracks going into this season as well. So a lot of unpredictability on offer as well.
Some new checks as well, China next week. But I just want to speak about some people returning, some people going for their first time this time in ARL. DW returning back to the grid. Glad to see him back. I think
Yep.
after what happened to him, I think it's deserved for him to be back. I think the time off he took was kind of reasonable for it to be kind of in that situation he was in, to be punished for it. But of course, with him being back, I think it's the right decision in my opinion. Of course, he wouldn't be back if it wasn't. But I think him coming back makes part of the field stronger as well. Brew Gorgon, this is going to be his first start. Speedy Midget as well. A bit of a weird situation here. Jack, who the dominant one, is down in 7th. That's pretty interesting to say the least. We thought Jack would be dominating. At least a lot of people did. But he's down in 7th right now. I just want to point that out. Scruddy Rat making his first start, replacing Nathan Aiken, who is not showing up today. And Scruddy Rat being a reserve starting a lap now. We also have GSR Pluto. It's his first full-time Tier 1 start. We also have as well SV tax, AMS tax, just to keep people aware. So maybe I won't make the AMS tax GSR acts, mistake as much. Hopefully, we're gonna hope. But RSF1 Uzumaki, this is his first time in a full-time seat, first race in it. Kyle SO2, first Tier 1 race, and first time as a driver as well. Well, a full-time driver, I should say. And drive reserve for the Renault team.
Yeah, the O noise I just made was DW got big tank slapper coming out of turn 10, and that double left-hander, very, very tricky corner. No matter how quick these cars get in this game franchise, that corner is still a nightmare to get right. So yeah, even the best make mistakes.
It's a race of unknown because people thought Jack would be dominating. Maybe Jack's trying to start outside the top 10. I don't know. You don't know what could be happening. You don't know what could be in these drivers' minds of what they're trying to do. Everyone who set a time 8/10 within one another. A very close qualifying session to start off Tier 1 compared to the other tiers this weekend, wouldn't you say?
I didn't say anything. Did I say something?
No, I said, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just gonna quickly fix my mic because there is a problem with it. It sounds like I'm breathing into it every time I speak. So I'm gonna fix that quickly so we don't have the problem like that for the race.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. So just while I get the opportunity to speak, it's very nearly 2 seconds quicker than the Tier 1 pole time last season. So this track and car combination on this is so much quicker. The F1 driver is starting another flying lap now. Speedy Midget up to 2nd as well. He might finish the session in that position. That's his final flying lap completed. ARL Cobra improving. DW improving. Sorry, DW is actually invalid. Back to Cobra. He's over a 10th up. I'll try and sort of narrate. Last season's pole sitter John currently in 3rd on a flying lap and improving. So the track evolution seems to be strong today. Brute Gorgon, will he make it to the line in time? Oh, DW's actually retired from the session and gone in backwards.
Gorgon actually might be able to make the line. Aero Cobra 5/1000ths apart from F1 driver. We saw how close they were last season on the racetrack.
Ooh.
That changed, and hopefully my mic is fixed, Milo. It's not like breathing into it when I talk. Is it better?
It's better.
Oh, thank God. Anyway, Mercedes coming to the line. That is going to be SV Tax. Probably going to start a lap here. Checker flag not complete. I think that might rather be delayed that it's not complete or something else. There is cars coming to the line. There is behind that such Jay as well down in 11th. He's going to pit. There's a Ferrari as well. That is Jab.
F1 driver
goes to the top. Takes pole away after last season being on the front row only. Now, does anyone go and take that? I think some people just started some laps. Yep, just third for him. Only third.
Ooh.
RSF1 Ozumaki, can he get to the top 15? Where does he go? Goes 14th. A little bit of an improvement for him. Kyle SO2, he's a 10th up. Can he get to the top 15 as well? He should do 12th.
Sorry to interrupt now, but Jack is 4/10 up, and he's getting a slipstream from Kagoda. Is he going to move out of the way he is? That's benefiting him massively.
Jack's having a little bit more easy here. He's going to come to the line. Is he going to take the first pole position of the season? Jack comes to the line. He's only third. He's only third. The Renault coming to the line. That's Brew Gorgon a 10th up. Does he go front row? He goes second row. It's so close. Polo God, 9th. Behind that, Scruddy Rat completing the checker flag with 8th. There's a Mercedes spun at the back as well. That's SV Tax, I'm pretty sure, out of the session. But there's a Red Bull. ARL Cobra coming to the line. I think he's down on his time, and he is. But there's still drivers completing the checker flag. GSR Axe out there getting his one and only run in. There's a Ferrari coming to the line. Jabali MSU, he's actually 4/10 up. He could try to get into the top 10 here from this. He had some decent starting positions last season like Brazil. Where does he go? 6 behind his teammate. 1/1000 separates them.
1,000.
Wow. And Pluto coming to the line. Where does Pluto go? Got pole yesterday in GSR. He does go to the top 10. And wow, how things have changed in massive seconds. And Axe as well goes 13th. A close qualifying session. Everybody within 8/10 in that top 18. Very close.
That's incredible. Uzumaki and Tax with the same lap time. Pluto 1,000th ahead of DW. What else have we got? From second to 6th, all within a 10th. Absolutely crazy scenes in qualifying. It may not be dramatic, but it sets up what is going to be a super competitive race. And you know what really does affect that? Track position. So recovery drives are going to be necessary for those at the back who feel they have better race pace.
And Jack, who had that big 4/10 gap on time trial, keep in mind, Jack was leading time trial drivers in ARL by about a good 4/10. Now he's sitting down at 4th, about a 10th behind. So this is huge for Jack, who everyone thought was going to dominate the season, going to be the new Mr. Boker from last season, kind of get that 6 wins and everything else. Jack, it's not so easy to start off the season.
Oh, it's a great spectacle there when everyone's this close.
So the lineup, F1 driver, these two have history from this racetrack a season ago. Brew Gorgon, Jack, John Jab, and then Speedy Midget, Pluto, DW, Scratty Rat running out the top 10. You also have names such as Polo, Axe, Kagoda, SV Tax, and Ricochet rounding out the top 20, well, rounding out the grid. That are big names that are down there. And 21 people watching. Why don't enough people watch Tier 1? It's a good question. I don't know. A lot of people like watching the lower tiers and the chaoticness, but I think this tier is probably the closest tier this season, just shown by right there.
Yeah, and hopefully after that qualifying, people will start to tune in more, because if this goes on for the whole season, I'm getting plenty of popcorn ready, because we're in for a good one.
F1 driver taking his first pole since Italy last season. He's only had 2 poles in the last 14 rounds. So it's maybe F1 driver's back on the right track of things. He's got to be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. He had a great opportunity. Well, he was on for a podium last season, but it was cruelly taken away by Rappalucas at the time. Taking him out of the final corner, so hopefully he gets that redemption today, and in an even sweeter way. Thank you, AWS.
Yeah, thank you for that, I guess. So, Tripod's car is still in the grid. I'm not sure why that is. I would assume ABS driver's car would be able to be taken over. ABS driver would be able to take that car over. I don't know why it's not allowing him to. Now we've kind of mistaken what's going on. We've kind of messed him over. The game's kind of I don't know at this point. But anyway, let's focus on the ones to watch. I'm gonna give 2 favorites. First off, I'm going to go with F1 X-Driver X2018. You go back to last season this time. He started on the front row, where he starts now. And Alfa Romeo won this race yesterday with ARL Tripod. Difference is, That was tier 2. This difference this time is very huge because this is a season later after he got that podium stolen away from him after he tried the 2-stop. It's going to be interesting to see because you have hard tires for Axe, everyone else outside the top 10 with mediums. Very interesting to say the least. I'm also going to go with, this is I'm going to go with Jack down in 4th. It should be very interesting because 3/10 ahead in time trial, 3 to 4/10 ahead. That gap in time trial, you know, it might not mean anything by the end of this race, but Jack, if he has the overall race pace, he can maybe convert that into his first win. Jack, 9 or 8 previous starts in ARL. Could 9 be the one he wins today? Milo, your favorites.
Polo God, outside the top 10 on fresh medium tyres. He's the first of the drivers that have gone for a fresh set of a different compound. So he will race. He has 2 podiums around this circuit. Do I dare say he could make it 3 today? I'm really not sure. DW had a bit of a scruffy end to qualifying, so I think he's got some pace in him. Definitely keep an eye on him. And it's really tough to pick a third one, but last season's pole sitter, John, he was doing well on the softs, but they just became too inconsistent in the race last season, and didn't really get a good result.
5 red lights are coming upon us here in the Bahrain Grand Prix for Season 3's Tier 1 opener. Here we go for the start. There's a jump start by ARL Tripod's car, which might delay the start, but it will not. Green flag is waving, and I think there's a jump start by the Racing Point. That was RSF1 Uzumaki, who has actually left the session and now set the fastest lap of a 2-minute lap. But into the lead, ARL Cobra at turn 1. Now, an F1 driver. They go side by side at turn 2. These two had history last season. They make a bit of contact. Then comes Jack into the fight of this. They're about to go 3 wide. They cannot make it 3 wide. A Red Bull at the back, that's CW. Now for the race lead, Cobra, F1 driver, wheel to wheel. They're touching again. These two have history from the past here. They're gonna make it out alive for now. As we head to sector 2. Jack behind third out of this whole thing. Of course, Tripod's car being a little bit glitched here. But now, as we fall down the order a little bit, you have the Ferraris going near each other, 4th and 5th. Begin and Speedy Midget have ended up side by side into turn 9 and 10 actually at the end of the straight here. And now you have as well switching positions. That's F1 driver trying on Cobra for the race lead, as Jack is right behind him as well. He's right there to challenge if anything goes to happen. But DW, who had a mistake in that first lap, has fell back and spun, and you might need to reinvite Uzumaki and Tripod to the session.
Okay, I will do.
Again, for this race lead, we head into the final corner. Opposite positions from last season. F1 driver behind Cobra. These two footing for the race lead. They might be on different strategies. You just don't know. But Jack is right there to challenge. Jack gaining a spot from that first lap. The spots gained from that first lap. GSR Pluto with about a good 3 positions from him. And 3 positions from Kagoda as well.
Unfortunately for Polo God, he's down in 16th, so something has gone dreadfully wrong on that opening lap. He's no longer the leading car for those with mediums. So, yeah, not ideal.
Remember last time a season ago, Cobra, F1 driver were fighting for a podium, not the race win. Right now, they're fighting for the lead. You know, anything can change in this race. Anything can go back and forth. We could see Jack take advantage of them. Jack kind of being the one on the pad is the wheel players, 1, 2, 4. And Jack, pad being dominated by this, well, pad dominated at this track. You don't see a pad player leading just yet. Maybe that wheel, maybe the wheel users are coming into play once the race pace kicks in. So we should see how that goes. The back, I think Ricochet wheel to wheel. This is into turn 11. The AlphaTauri and the Mercedes. That is Ricochet locking up and almost going into the side of Tax right there. That's down to turn 12 here. They're going wheel to wheel up the hill. It's going to be Tax going ahead this time. DW, who started on the softs and fell down and crashed in the first lap, is actually setting purple sectors now. I know it's only the second lap, but if he's setting purple sectors, that should be setting him up for the race very good. And again, for this race lead, F1 driver Cobra into turn 1 this time. Is F1 driver going to try and move? No, he does not. Oh,
Still
it's the back.
very close throughout the field.
Unable for F1 driver DRS in this lap now. Kagoda was just trying on Polo. That was a battle down toward 14th between the two Irish drivers. Scotty Rat reserve in his first race as well. So, with this being said...
Oh, it's fun! It's fun! He's around! F1 driver's lost it on the curb!
Wow. Wow. On lap 3 of the race, F1 driver has made a crucial mistake for his race, and now you see the rear tires, and now Uzumaki's went into him. Wow. That could change this race very, very, very much.
We saw a few spins last season. Tax at turn 4, locking up the rears. Sam Steed spinning at turn 12 towards the inside curb, and add that one to the list.
Yeah.
Very, very unusual to see a mistake like that.
Rizone spun there last season as well, if you remember back to that.
Yes.
Turn 7, turn 8, and he actually retired from the race after that. Jack not close enough for DRS, but overtake button was engaged. Purple stuck. So Jack actually gaining about a good 3-4 tenths on this front straight. Into turn 1 we go. Jack locking up. F1 driver didn't pick up any damage, but I'd like to see if he can possibly recover from this because, again, Patriot recovered yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to recover. Kagoda and Axe. Kagoda, the Tier 2 champion from last season. Behind that, there's DW and Tax trying to go wheel to wheel, but Kagoda dives down the inside and Axe into turn 4. This is the Mercedes versus Williams. It's the Williams of Axe who gets the traction out and gets the position there. And DW and Tax.
Oh.
That was close. And there's a yellow flag. That is Kyle SO2 in his first Tier 1 race. Has spun at the same place F1 driver did. Jack's closed that gap for the race lead. That's 4 tenths between Cobra and him. How's Jack going to manage his ERS? How is Jack going to manage this gap between Cobra and him? He's got a little bit worse ERS than Cobra, but how does Jack all manage it? Because Cobra, back in the GSR race at Azerbaijan, he had the racing control. He manages ERS very well, but Cobra, making a mistake, locking up, going into the barrier. That's something that could cost him again for a race victory, or because he's getting pressured by Jack, and you see a little bit of a lockup right there, not enough to affect him, of course.
No overtake being used for Jack on this occasion, but a few weaves from ARL Cobra.
Gorgon and Jebel MSU, they trade positions. They just gone side by side through turn 2. That could have ended way worse, just like it did yesterday between Utah and Arapalucas. But now, Gorgon does get the position on Jab. The Ferrari team, 3rd and 6th right now. As it stands, they're running in a decent position to possibly get the Constructors lead after this Grand Prix. And there's a yellow flag at the back. That is Ricochet.
Oh, sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, yep, you're right.
Kyle, not Ricochet.
Now F1 driver, oh my god, he just had a slide, and that was right in front of Ricochet. He's got himself in a position to come back at Uzumaki and possibly take a few positions from the back of the grid here, where he's at.
This section of track, so many people struggling through there. Another tank slapper from Ricochet, just about held on, but that could have been the third that sequence of corners in this race, and it's only lap 5.
This race could change just any minute. I mean, we saw Tier 2, we saw safety cars come out, we saw a lot of things. Everyone is running close to each other. The top 10, all those gaps of the driver in front are all within a second of one another. So that's how close this field is, and Ricochet, a 3-second time penalty for him. So this is the way we started off the season, and there you go. That's a big undercut, and so is so is John. And yeah, the pit strategy is open for those guys trying a 2-stop. Is Jack trying a 2-stop or a 1-stop? Jack might be doing what Tripod did yesterday by pitting early. No, he's going for the 2-stop.
Gotta get out in front of the Ferrari.
He's gonna get held.
Very close.
Never mind. That was a glitch for me. Ignore me right there. Oh, Axe has spun into the barrier!
Oh!
Off of turn 2!
Kyle spun there just a moment ago, so
and Kyle's
it's now turn 2 and 3.
And Kyle holding off John, and that's going to be playing big to Jack.
Wow.
Scratty Rat just got trading positions with Speedy Midget. That was for the spit position. DRS wasn't able to. Now with pitting, this put Pluto up in the second position. John John's gonna have to pass Kyle sooner or later. There's no way he's gonna have to sit behind him, and he's gonna try to dive down the inside. John John is, and he's almost spun it. Almost spun it there. John John did. The front three, or two of the front three come in. Cobra, Brute Gorgon, and Javelin MSU come in as well. Cobra for mediums, Jab for mediums, and I think as well Brute Gorgon for mediums. Undercut, overcut, what happened here?
Purple sets a 3 for Jack. Here he goes. He's done it.
Ahead of Cobra. But where does John John come out? He's going to come ahead of Brute, but he is not ahead of Arrow Cobra. He does gain a little bit of time from the undercut. The undercut last season was huge. Remember back to Razone and Rapalucas, well, Cobra last season, that was big in order for this race to be played the way it was. Between those two, the undercut was major. So Shay trying to challenge Scratty Rat as well. This is for the third position in this race. So Shay in the mediums, Scratty Rat in the softs. There's 5 soft runners who've yet to pit. 2 of them being the McLarens and DW F1 driver and Scratty Rat.
Yeah, these medium tyres are really coming into play now. The soft runners running some inconsistent pace now and probably finding that they're starting to slide a little bit more. Scratty Rat, I should say that more British, is coming to the pits.
What tire does he go for? I'm interested to see. He's actually going to go for the one stop with hards. This is interesting. F1 driver as well pitting this time. He might go the one stop too. Let's see. I think he's going mediums. No, he goes hard, so never mind. I didn't see that. Yeah. So it's a McLaren 1-2 with this race being settled the way it is. Both of them yet to pit. They might be going for the one stop, and this could play very interesting. But where everyone is at, Jack ahead of Cobra by about a good 3-second gap. So that undercut from Jack really played a big dividend into where Cobra sits and where Jack sits.
Jack is starting to hit traffic now, though. He's got Ricochet and Uzumaki ahead, who are on the same strategy and will be fighting for track position. So this might bring Cobra and John John a little bit closer, but with the gap he's pulled already, I don't believe it'll make too much of a difference.
Pluto pits, Speedy Midget as well, I think. Double stacking at McLaren.
Double stacking? That's gone horribly wrong.
That has big for Speedy Midget. That's going to really affect him. Pluto going hards, Speedy Midget going hards. Racing on the front straight, Jack, Uzumaki, Ricochet, Jack into turn 1 on Ricochet. Jack goes through. He's got 1 done. Now he needs to get Uzumaki.
Oh, Brute Gorgon and John John just gets out ahead at the outside of turn 2.
And Pluto jab, Kyle Lisser too, all battling for the 13th position. But once everyone pits, it's going to be really difficult to see who's going to be where. Now Jab gets ahead of Pluto. Pluto hanging around the inside to turn 5. It's just not enough to make a move, of course.
Oh, there's a spin. Brute Gorgon! Another spinner. I'm not really too sure how that happens.
Enters the track safely. Kagoda close to DW as well. Both these guys yet to pit, so the top 7 yet to pit in this race. While the first guy who's already pitted in this race for that 2-stop is Jack. Soft, medium, soft, I'm thinking with him. I'm not too sure what we're going to see here. Those mediums can last a pretty long time, so I'm interested to see, does Jack go for soft, medium, softs?
I think he'll play it safe and go with the mediums because he's found another level of pace on this tyre, whereas in qualifying and in the first stint he just couldn't quite get past Cobra. So I think he'll go with mediums, but he's got Uzumaki to deal with.
So this has now put Rumbly Fungus and Such J the 2 leaders.
Oh, Ricochet, Ricochet! Dived up the inside of turn 4 and now has run off the track.
Behind all that, down in the midfield, Kyle SO2 of course yet to pit, but you have down there Pluto, Gorgon, Scratty Rat, all kind of trying to pass Kyle SO2, all trying to get around him. Pluto, Kyle SO2, who was in Tier 2 last season. Should be interesting to see what they can do. So it looks like, of course, the guys in the mediums are going mediums, hards, and actually DW is pitting this lap, so he is probably going softs to hards. He's brought the softs as long as he could, and now he's actually going for mediums. He's really trying to go very long on the softs. DW has.
It's a big test for tyre management. Oh, Uzumaki's gone again. I'll get him back in.
It's the second time he's lagged out this race, but Kyle SO2 has got overtaken by GSR Pluto, and now Gorgon's going to have to try to get him in this position. Ricochet, Uzumaki, Ricochet gets ahead. Gorgon into turn 4, and Kyle SO2, he's going to go down the inside. They stay wheel to wheel. They touch just a little bit. There they go, into the gravel. That's going to allow Scruddy Rat to go through.
That's unfortunate. They just locked tyres front right and rear left.
Oh!
And in doing that,
oof.
Wow.
That could have been dangerous. That could have been right back into him. And there's RSF Uzumaki joining back the session as well. Yeah, so Kyle SO2 and Brugor got a bit of touching and barging between them two. Pluto gonna get by Uzumaki's lagged out car. Uzumaki try to attempt to return the session. Rumbly Fungus pitting mediums to hards. It looks like mediums can go the full distance, but the laps he's already done. I mean,
as well.
Looking to be mediums to hards. It is going to be mediums to hards, it looks like. Tax as well. It's going to be mediums to hards too for him. Trying the original strategy that was on F1 2019. So I think the top 3 as this race stands, they're probably going to try to do mediums to hard just to be safe, and same with Ricochet as well. So now between what the net race lead is, Ricochet picks up a penalty, 3.3 seconds between Jack and Cobra. Jack hasn't really dominated this one, you could say. Jack hasn't really kept that lead. He's kind of worked for it. He's got to that position, but of course, you never know. That safety car, that's been frequent here at Bahrain before. VSC in Season 1, when there was no safety car patch, but at that time, there was as well a safety car late in Tier 2, 2 times actually in Tier 2 last season, and a late race safety car in Tier 1. We saw safety cars appear in the Tier 2 a few times yesterday as well.
Yeah, and safety cars, we've seen it all in Tier 1. It can change absolutely everything, and it can create chaos. So if we see that again, it will be for sure very entertaining. But pit window is open now for hards. Thank you to AWS for that wonderful, insightful graphic. But yes,
wow,
we
I
have
didn't get it.
Kudo in, Such J in, And Polo God's in, and Ricochet in, all for hard.
So there you go. And now the two teammates, John and Jabal MSU, go ahead into turn 1. They looked like they were going to go to wheel for a second, but they couldn't, of course. They were not close enough to pass each other. Now, these guys on the 2-stop, Pluto and Scruddy Rat on the 1-stop. I'm not sure if the 1-stop won GSR Tier 1 yesterday, if that was what did, but I know the 1-stop had won an ABS Tier 1 with Polo God Softs to Hards. I don't know why he's going to go mediums to hards. He won an ABS with softs to hards, but maybe he's just trying to play it safe. Not have any issues. Such Jay and Kyle looked like they were going to go side by side for a minute. You have as well Uzumaki leading that train of cars down in 8th place to about 11th position. This is. Now to 13th. Separates the gap between Rumbly Fungus and Uzumaki. Into turn 11 now. Uzumaki keeps ahead. Kyle and Such, though, up the hill. Ooh. Such goes around. Good move from the Racing Point driver, getting ahead. But now it's Rumbly Fungus trying to get in the DRS, and while they're trying to get in the slipstream of Uzumaki, getting that little toe he's getting. And now in a turn, the final turn, they go wheel to wheel. Uzumaki stays ahead, but he runs off the racetrack, which is going to allow Rumbly Fungus to go wheel to wheel with him. Now Uzumaki, I think, is going to pit. Polo God and Speedy Midget, though. This is for a points position right now as they stand into turn 1. Speedy Midget getting ahead.
Polo God's going to come back, though. He has a sniff to the inside and goes for it.
They almost touched. I thought they were for a minute. They looked very, very close, but Polo God staying ahead as we head into turn 8. Yeah, he stays ahead this time. Jab and John still close to two teammates to them. Kind of similar to how last season's race was. You know, we could obviously see a safety car at some point in this race. We know it's possible because of last season, but 4 seconds is that gap between Cobra and Jack, and now it's John Jab for the podium. But how will these guys who are on the one-stop strategy, such as Pluto, Scruddy Rat, Rumbly, and all the guys behind them, adapt to the guys on the 2-stop? Now, Jack, if he were to pit right now, and when he were to pit, he would come out down around the 12th position, which is right near Kagoda, where he is at. So that's where Jack would come out if he pitted right now. That's the way things would stand.
I saw that gap between Jack and ARL Cobra come down to as low as 1.5 seconds. But since, that was only 3 or 4 laps ago, it's shot right back up to 4 seconds. So I don't know if that was genuine or... Well, if it was genuine, then Jack, wow, what a great job he's doing.
If he's pulling like earned it for now, if that's the case, but 4 seconds, that gap is really staying at between the leading two. Jack trying to win his first ARL race yesterday. Tripod won his second ARL race, and Raptor won his first. I couldn't think of that for a moment. Now that gap's going to cut down to 3.9. That gap is crunching down. It reminds me of Cobra and Boker last season. Brew Gorgon picks a penalty. Reminds me of Boker and Rapaluka, well, Cobra last season, in going back and forth between each other, gaining, losing time, just within about a good 3-4 tenths each few laps. And they were within that 2-second gap. Cobra got it down to almost DRS range in the last few laps before a late race safety car changed everything in this race last season. Now that gap stays at 3.7. You see Cobra trying to get back up on those older tires. Is Zach kind of using his tires a bit more? What's going to happen here? Undercut could be very crucial into this race. Who gets it now? John Jab. John stays ahead of Jab.
With stop. And everyone else in front on a 2, and especially with these 2 Ferraris fighting, Pluto could be on for a magnificent result here today. But there's still all to play for.
Such Shade just got ahead of Brew Gorgon as well. They trade positions. John ahead of Jab for the time being. And it stays that way.
And nearly another spin on that inside curve. Gorgon holds on. Rumbly Fungus sends it up the inside of turn 8.
Successful move right there. Polo God behind these guys as well. Polo God was in the midfield battle as well last season in this race. And oh, you could see Gorgon losing traction out of the corner to allow Polo God to go ahead. Two teammates again at Ferrari. Trying to go wheel to wheel in the last corner. Couldn't happen that time.
Oh, John's pitting.
Had to lock up so he didn't speed the thing. He was going to speed, it looked like, into the pits. He kept himself from doing so. DW and Gorgon, they go wheel to wheel into turn 1. DW looking like he's going to go ahead. Speedy Midget has a look, but DW goes ahead. And Gorgon goes around! Another spin.
Reset.
That's a reset to track.
Well then. He'll take a penalty for that.
Oh. Tax has got to buy him as well.
Let me guess your typing ticket open for that.
Yes. Yeah, I may as well. I don't think anyone else will do it. I probably won't remember, so I may as well, right? I mean,
yeah.
You probably heard the keyboard.
Yeah, I did.
26 viewers in this race. We need to get more. And GSR Axe is actually out of the session. That's 8. And this is the first retirement in this Grand Prix. Will they spring out a safety car? Jack is waiting to pit here. And does the safety car come out? It's still yellow flag, but no safety car yet. It's left the session. Yeah, it doesn't look like a safety car will come out. Jack pitting. Pluto not pitting, actually. Pluto just trying to get the toe. So no safety car from that. GSR actually the only one out of the race then.
Say Pluto 10 seconds off the lead. Jack and Cobra still looking to make a pit stop.
Hold up, Rumbly Fungus down the inside of Such J at turn 1. That move was going to be successful until Such J got the traction off the corner. And Such J still stays ahead, but into turn 4 this time. Rumbly Fungus back down the inside. He was trying and he still is. Dive bombs it and goes through for now. Such J and him touch just a bit. And heading into turn 5, they catch again!
Now Polo up the inside of Such J. Went into hot there, locked up, and went into his side pods. He's got away without damage, and DW as well. And Speedy Midget on the back of this train.
So speak about the Pluto stuff again, what you were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's definitely going to be coming out in the net lead if the two in front of him make a pit stop and come out in this traffic. So the race result is still unknown.
Depends how they carry those mediums, you know, till the next pit stop. I think they're going to go mediums soft. So Cobra not pitting, Jack not pitting. So they're probably going to try to extend the mediums about another good 2-3 laps maybe at most. And try to go soft at the end and try to make it work and not get too worn out, because we saw JB88, his tires at the end were 83%, and that played a big dividend into what happened. And now we've got the most viewers we've had in a single Tier 1 race so far. We've crunched the record for a lot of things this weekend. Tier 2 has had the most viewers. Tier 3 having the most viewers overall, and most viewers, you know, of course, for a tier race in ARL. Now, Such J is going to try it back down the inside of Rumbly Fungus. 4 to the curb, is about to go ahead. He's almost clear of Rumbly Fungus, but Rumbly Fungus hanging back in the curb. Going to go around the outside here at turn 5. Rumbly Fungus might go through. There's a bit of contact, and Such J off the track, but Rumbly Fungus ahead. They make contact again. Again. Wow, what a great great battle. Such J, an impressive move, but I think Paulo just hit the back of Rumbly Fungus, which has allowed Such J to almost get moved right there by him. But Pluto, I want to keep him in mind because of the gap he's keeping. So the front two is very interesting, and you just see Rumbly Fungus kind of bump drafting him down the straight to turn 11, pushing him. Oh my god.
Brilliant racing. This is what we love to see. A 5-car train, nobody giving an inch. It's fair, it's fair. We love fair competitive racing, and there's somebody around.
Cobra pits, there's a yellow flag.
Ricochet got damage.
Oof. Onto the softs, Cobra goes. So he's gonna go try the undercut on Jack. This is very interesting. Now into turn 1. That's Paulo God, Rumbly Fungus, and Such J. Paulo God trying to get ahead of Rumbly Fungus. They're wheel to wheel down to turn 2. Paulo is ahead. Brew Gorgon as well pitting.
Oh, DW goes in hot at turn 4.
Ricochet's out.
Ricochet retiring in the pits.
DW's got ahead of Speedy Midget, Rumbly Fungus behind them as well. All 4 or 5 cars here, all close to one another. But I think the thing that's more important as well, which is the race win. Pluto, Jack, 10.4 seconds between them. Now it's 10.2. It's again with them. Gonna assume Jack may pit this lap and try to go soft to the end. And try to not get undercut by Cobra. Where will Jack come out? Cobra's come out in the 11th position. Jack is coming in this time. So Jack should be coming around the 9th, 10th position. He locks up right into the pits. He's trying to make all he can of this pit stop.
Yeah, he needs to. So Pluto will take the lead then. And in a few laps, he'll surely have these cars in his mirrors. This is going to be a great scrap to the end.
Paulo God was just using the overtake button for a minute, but trying to gain a Such J into turn 1. This is for 3rd, but where does Jack come out compared to ARL Cobra? Jack's come out just ahead of Kagoda. This is crucial because ARL Cobra's going to get caught up maybe behind F1 driver here right now. So the gap between ARL Cobra and Jack is about 3.5 seconds. So Jack actually getting not too much of an overcut on ARL Cobra.
Just a situation update on Jack. He's got to overtake 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars for the lead, and that's 10 seconds of race time to find.
Keep in mind, he's stuck at the back of this pack, and he won very easily, where Cobra is at the back of F1 driver, which will be a pain for him, yeah. But the thing is, if he could get by F1 driver, I think Kagoda will be pretty easy to them, because I know usually for league races, such as ABS, I believe they were in the party together, so maybe Kagoda might be a little bit easy on ARL Cobra once that happens. But Jack, behind his rival in ABS, Speedy Mitch hits the back of him! Woo!
Oh, Jack making contact, and now he's going to have the DRS open now, and he's through with ease.
Polo God as well in Such J into turn 1 between the Racing Point and the Alfa Romeo driver. Polo God getting ahead. And F1 driver Kagoda Cobra into turn 1. F1 driver on the outside of Kagoda. They go wheel to wheel at turn 2. F1 driver Kagoda. Kagoda off the track. How will ARL Cobra take advantage of this? He's trying to race, but F1 driver blocks him off. To the outside now. Cobra trying around F1 driver. They make a bit of contact between the two. And F1 driver stays ahead. That's a bit crucial right there. And Cobra dives it back down the inside just like last season. F1 driver locks up, goes wide, but Cobra swipes back into him a little bit. Cobra ahead right there, and that was very crucial. Jack got ahead of Rumbly Fungus as well. Rumbly Fungus not giving up a fight too much to him. So Jack's gap to Pluto is 8 seconds. How can Jack catch up to Pluto. Pluto leading his first laps in Tier 1 so far in ARL. Scratty Rat as well in his first race, just behind him as well. Paulo God currently sits on the podium as everything stands right now with such JDW behind them as well. DW might be trying to go mediums at the end, is he? I mean, I don't know. I mean, DW down the inside of turn 1. And there goes Jack as well. They're in a 3-car split. And now Jack gets ahead of out of all of it. Such J making contact with him as well. They wheel bang again.
This is the last thing Jack needs if he wants to make up this race time to the race leader Pluto. And he goes down the inside and a bit of a tank slapper.
They make a bit more contact between Jack and Such J. Jack gets ahead for now, and he stays ahead. 2 cars in 1 sector right there for Jack. Well, 2 sectors, you could say.
Yeah, fair play for him being so aggressive. He needs to. And if he wants to make this race ending super tense for us,
Will
the
Polo God give him
commentators,
position?
then
These two are good friends. Polo God's gonna make it easy on Jack. Polo God's gonna make it easy. Jack trying to challenge up to the field from 8th. From down in 8th and after his pit stop. He's trying to challenge for the race win. Ricochet leaving the session. Jack about 7 seconds behind Pluto. Will it be enough for the race to win? How will Jack's tires die down? And he loses the car!
I thought he nearly spun. Oh,
that was nerve-wracking if you're Jack.
my heart stopped for him there.
Brew Gorgon Uzumaki. Brew Gorgon goes ahead. Brew Gorgon with a tough race. It's time. Matty Mumu says an early prediction for the last lap. Jack's going to win. Pluto second. Polo God, will he make a move at turn 1? No, he's going to be very easy on Jack. Speedy Midget going to the outside of Rumbly Fungus now at turn 1. Rumbly Fungus staying ahead with a great defense.
Bearing in mind that those softs may just become a bit worn and Jack completely has to change his pace. Around the outside goes Speedy Midget. He almost made a Lando Norris move on Pierre Gasly from last season.
out in the pits.
Uzumaki in the pit lane.
That will not bring out a safety car. 3 retirements, and we kept the first part of this race clean, but now we've had a few retirements, and I will say definitely a lot cleaner than yesterday's Tier 2 race for sure.
Oh, absolutely, and great to watch as well. You don't have to have complete chaos.
BSC, Tax is out.
Oh, Tax.
That's a turn 7, 8, around there.
This
So
is going to
VSC
slow
changed
down
things,
Jack's progress.
but it will help him save a bit of his tires. That is partially
Yes,
true.
true.
But it's pros and cons for him. One pro and 1 con. Oh wow. Jack trying for his first ARL win. Pluto and Scruddy Rat. So the top 5 actually have never won an ARL race. Only 2 of them have been on the podium before in Tier 1. Such J, not even a single point for him before in ARL. He's trying for a top 5 finish for the first time as well. Pluto leading his first laps. Does Jack kind of go to the safety car? Well, VSC restart here. 6.8 behind Pluto. VSC should be ending pretty soon. I'm keeping mine in that gap. It's going to be 5 laps to go right now. Jack making sure he slows it down into turn 1, 6.6 now. DRS enabled, back to the green flag, but Jack kind of got caught out a bit there. But I think Pluto did as well. Now that's 6.1 between Jack and Pluto. So that gap might be big by the end of this race. And there's that train as well for a podium spot if possible. They're trying to catch up to Scratty Rat, who I believe has a penalty. He does. Let's take a penalty check. Pluto has warnings. I think he just has 1. Scratty Rat with a penalty. And Jack as well, he has nothing. I think he's kept it clean. Polo God with nothing. Polo God could be on the run for 2 podiums in 2 seasons. If Jack gets by Scratty Rat, that is very crucial. Polo God's going to need to hold off Such J as well. Scratty Rat, does he make it easy? Does he make it hard for Jack?
Second.
He has. That VSC helped him a lot, you could tell. Jack goes through. Pluto trying to hang on for his first ARL win in his first full-time Tier 1 start. But what is also crucial is Polo God needs to stay within 3 seconds of Scratty Rat, or possibly catch him if Scratty Rat tries to appeal that penalty for the podium position this is. Polo God trying for 3 podiums in 3 Bahrain races? That could be very possible.
Oh, what did I say at the start of the race? He's starting on those medium tyres. It was possible. It was possible from lights out, and he's almost there. It's going to be great for him, and I'll be happy for him if he makes it 3 from 3 here at Bahrain.
Yeah, I said earlier this week, Paul, Rumbly Fungus down the inside of DW. DW switching back at the exit of turn 1, can't get through. But he's using overtake, hits the back of Rumbly Fungus there. And DW keeping a clean race so far. Cobra, Speedy Midget, Cobra staying ahead, and Rumbly Fungus staying ahead of DW as well in that gap. But I did say on the YouTube earlier this week, when we did the race highlights video for Bahrain for Tier 1, thumbs up this comment from, myself, saying if Polo God will get back-to-back-to-back podiums. 5 people thumbs it up, so 5 people might be right with that after this race, with thinking he'll get back-to-back-to-back podiums. But I don't want to curse anything, because anything can happen in these last laps, like we saw at this point last season. In about 20 seconds from now, we'd be seeing a safety car from last season. So we do not want. I don't know if we want to repeat that. I think we already got a good enough battle between Jack and Pluto for this race win. 3.6 that gap is cut down to. Cobra passes DW. Very easy between the two teammates. Surprisingly, from this two-step, it hasn't worked out for Jab and John and F1 Driver. It's not really worked out for them with the way this race is ran, and Jab running in the back of F1 Driver could go to penalty.
Yeah, very good point you make about Jab, F1 Driver, and John, because they all had a magnificent qualifying. They were in the close, heated pole battle, with F1 Driver actually getting pole himself, and he's nowhere. Disappointing spin, and yeah, he's got a long way to chase now in this championship as it stands. And Jack now down to 3.3 seconds, so his progress is an awful lot slower, and Pluto will be seeing that gap, and he'll be tense, but also has a little bit of peace of mind knowing that gap isn't coming down as quick as it was.
I think if Jack gets himself into ERS and Boker said to check Pluto's ERS, yeah, that is big. Pluto using that overtake button, which will give him an advantage in the straights a little bit. It'll get Jack off from him a little bit. And you can see, yeah, Jack not gaining as much as he usually would if he engaged overtake. Now that gap, as we headed 2 laps to go, 2.7 seconds. If Jack gets within DRS on that final lap, we'll have to see how things turn out. Jack could possibly... Yeah, that curve is a curve of death. You don't want to touch that one. Polo. Yeah, Polo gaining on Scratty Rat as well. This is for a podium position. Wow. So 2.5 seconds, the gap between the race lead. Jack trying to charge down from 8th on the grid of where he was at the time he's trying to win his first ARL race. The first 5 have never won an ARL race. Now Polo God for the podium position. This is and Scratty Rat in his first race goes down the inside. Polo does, cuts back in front. Polo goes ahead. He's currently on the podium again. DW, Speedy Midget staying ahead for now. DW do enough, and John and F1 Driver as well. John goes ahead. So Shay could be on for his first points if he keeps it clean in the last 4 or 5 miles here. Two seconds now. Is it going to be enough for Jack? Pluto engaging overtake. ERS stays pretty equal between the two. 2 seconds. He's got that gap down to. Don't think it'll be enough for Jack.
I think Pluto is just a little bit quicker in a straight line, so if he does just get in the DRS and slipstream on the final lap, it's going to be quite tough for him. 1.8 now.
Jack's tires are about 50%
and a lap
apparently,
to go.
So those tires are starting to wear out. That's possibly what's kind of, not got him close enough to Pluto.
One thing I wouldn't mind in this game is the AWS tire graphic.
Yes.
But for the F1 game, like we want to know this stuff.
Such J and Scratty Rat, this is for 4th. Such J, not even a single points finish. He's trying for a top 5 now. Down the inside for 4th. He's going down the inside of Scratty Rat in his first race. Such J, he goes through to 4th.
Fantastic.
Pluto in his first full-time start, trying to win his first race. This would be a heck of a story. It's Jack as well. 1.4. He's just not close enough. You can see how much he's gaining on Pluto. And she can't. It's a matter of gaining on him, right? But it's a matter of passing him. He can't pass him and locking up right there. That's going to cost Jack. it's not enough right now, it doesn't look like. You know, but that hill, it's changed races before at Bahrain in last laps. Keep in mind that hill up to turn 12. That can be very crucial into the end of this race of what goes on. Pluto won in GSR yesterday. It was his second GSR win. Might be hanging on for a first ARL win today in his first Tier 1 start. Lap car up
Jack's
ahead.
run wide.
Came here in his first full-time race. McLaren's going to start off the season very well with Pluto in his first full-time Tier 1 start. He was not getting the championship last season. He was denied. He's a Tier 1 winner for the first time, and Paulo God is going to return to the podium for the third consecutive season. GSR Pluto, a first win for him, and impressive stuff by him. First win in Tier 1 for Pluto. He's got that done in his first full-time race. In his second race, in fact.
Wow. W-O-W. Unbelievable. Look at that for a top 3.
John takes the last points paying position. Such J first points for him. Rumabungus best result. Cobra just short of the podium. My goodness.
GG, Pluto. GG. I was catching you so much.
Yep.
Oh, one more, and I would have been right on your bonnet.
Calculated to perfection.
Yeah, my two stop messed up so many people.
Yeah, I don't know why people did a 2-stop. We saw from GSR that 1-stop was easily the best one.
Wow. And Pluto, in your second Tier 1 start, you take the victory. Your first full-time start, in fact. Wow. McLaren started off the season very, very strong, you may say, with that one. 8th in the grid as well, wow. Didn't realize that. And the fireworks you hear in the background as well. Wow. What a finish to that race. And nice lap from Uzumaki, clearly getting that fastest lap point right there. 17.7 second lap time. A very fast lap by him. Anyways, make sure guys his audio is included. Pluto, it's a dub. GSR winner at Bahrain, now ARL for the first time you've won in Tier 1. Congrats on the win, but how nervous were you having to hold off Jack? Because, of course, you were having to engage the overtake button, you were having to try to use as much ERS, use what you could, but also fend him off and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of wheel-to-wheel racing today. It was all about conserving my tyres, my fuel, and my ERS. I think I held my ERS around 22% for the whole race. I finished with about 0.04 fuel left, and I was on 72% tyres. So it's probably the best conserving race I've ever done.
You were denied of the championship last season in Tier 2. You take your first win in Tier 1. Tier 2 winner and Tier 1 winner. How does it make you kind of feel compared to, you know, a guy like Kagoda? He came in the season probably looking as the favorite, because he was a champion, of course. Now you've kind of gone a step further and improved yourself a lot.
I don't know where this pace has come from. I really didn't expect to be, well, contending for wins this stage of the season. But yeah, it feels good to win the first race.
And you held off the guy that everyone said was going to die this season, Jack. You held him off for the first time. How does that kind of make you feel that you played the strategy better and Jack kind of messed it up today? Does that make you think that you know what you're doing more and that you're not nervous of people getting it right more than you?
Usually I'm not the best on strategy, but I think it was because I saw Tier 2, Tier 3 and GSR Tier 1 this entire weekend, so I knew what the strategy would be. That's the only reason I stuck to it.
Did only your second full-time, well, your second race in Tier 1, or in your first full-time race, and I bet you were probably happy setting up the McLaren. Yeah, I know, right? I know you were probably happy setting up the McLaren team this year, but I know you had said earlier to me a while ago, hey, I had asked, hey, what do you think is going to happen for you this season in Tier 1? You had said maybe a shock podium, maybe some surprise ones. Now you've come out here, won the first race. I mean, were you expecting that?
Not at all. Like you said, I'm the odd podium every now and again. But yeah, it feels amazing. Really happy.
Congrats on the win. And Milo, do you have any questions for today's race winner?
Well, does this win at round 1 make up for the fact that you just lost the championship last season? Because that's all out the window now. You're a race winner, and you've got a long season ahead to try and fight for even better.
Yeah, I wasn't that fussed about winning the Tier 2 championship because, like people say, it's like coming 21st, isn't it? It's not a real championship if it's Tier 2. So yeah, I'm happy now that I'm up at the top in Tier 1.
Congrats on the win. Milo, how about you interview Jack? And Jack, you just came short, man. GG to you. Congrats.
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah.
So close. You put I shouldn't be saying spit it out when I'm the one that can't spit it out. You threw everything at Pluto on the soft tyres. How did they feel towards the end of the race?
Just didn't really honest. I just wanted to catch him. I didn't even look at the percentage. I just went for it. Like
That's
I
fair
reckon if
enough.
I had one more lap, I could have had a tiny chance of like. I think I was. If I would have got into his DRS on the next lap, if there was like 30 laps, I reckon closer. But obviously, GG for Pluto for getting the strat right and conserving his tyres. But like I just went for the 2-stop because I didn't really have a great qualifying, and I just went for a gamble. Really went for the 2-stop, and it just I'd say it did work. Like it didn't work out, but yeah, it's just GG to Pluto. That was just I was fighting so hard the car, fighting so hard to get it closer, but yep.
Yeah, you unfortunately don't leave Bahrain leading the championship like you maybe would have hoped, but going into the Chinese Grand Prix for the first time in ARL next week, what are your expectations for that?
China, I'd say it's a decent track for me, but it's going to be on limits, especially the final corner. So that's just the race which can just not get warnings and just drive and clean and stuff. Don't know how there was a safety car, not a safety car in that. I'm very surprised.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. It's going to be proper bent on track limits.
Yes, it is.
Jack, P2, just short of the victory. I know how much you would have wanted it, but I will say though, you know how much Bahrain's a pad track. Pad players come 1, 2, 3. In fact, all on the podium, you guys. So now let's make controller noises. No, I'm kidding. But still, regardless, yeah, regardless, I think you got to be happy leaving this weekend because you know you had good pace. But of course, those first laps, being able to overtake cars, being able to know you could overtake cars when you were in the middle of pit cycles with the midfield guys, how does this kind of make you, how do I want to word it, make you feel for the next races? Because you know you can overtake people. How do you kind of feel into the next races with the fact you know you can at least overtake people and you know you can, you know, be in a position to fight? Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's obviously a good attribute to have, because if you can't overtake, you can't really progress up the field, and doing it clean is an attribute as well sometimes. And obviously China, you've got the long back straight, and I'd say that's the only place which you can really overtake, unless someone bowls it somewhere, which I'm surprised someone will do that, because it's not really a bottle track, to be fair. But yeah, obviously it's a good attribute to have, overtaking and getting through the field, which is a good.
So I've got to ask with this. Everyone said heading into this race, heading into the season, you're going to be the dominant guy. You're going to be the next Mr. Boker, winning those 6 races that he did last season. You come out and not even win the first race. You had a chance to, of course. We say that. You were ahead by a lot in time trial with a good 2/10 and stuff like that, ahead of the next cars behind you from ARL. You also got the strategy wrong as well today compared to Pluto, compared to the race winner. Does that question your mind a little bit as well? And people, of course, saying, I was going to put this out there, you won Limitless to Social Race about earlier this week as Zandvoort, which is a godly track for you, but does that kind of have the pace, but you just didn't get things right the past few laps and just the past few times?
Obviously, the strat really is a good part of the race, which Pluto perfected, and obviously I didn't really get it right. I just had to take a gamble, really, and it's just didn't work out, to be fair, which was unfortunate. But obviously we led into the next rounds. Obviously, second in the championship on the first round. Obviously I'd take that, but obviously first is the best. But obviously Pluto, obviously I got the strat wrong, and Pluto got it right. So
congrats on P2. And I know you're just short of the win, which does suck, but what you can take into next week is that you had the pace, and you know, you got your wish that you were getting challenged. You said you didn't want to dominate the season. You got challenged, which is something you wanted. So you got your wish a little bit, so good job to you on second place. And the guy who's been quiet for this whole time, you know, waiting to be interviewed. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Polo back on the podium. I mean, I told you last night, I don't know if you remember. Of course, you were at your nan's, staying out till like 4 in the morning, of course. So, I had told you, you were saying, you were like, I'm not gonna get a podium this season, this and that. And then I say, you know what, you never know, you never know, you never know. And, I also mentioned you being on the podium with Jack, and it came to actually happen. The truth has came out. 3 back-to-back podiums. You now hold the record for the most podiums at this track by any single driver. How does this kind of make you feel? You're back on the podium. And every time you've been in the podium, you've been third.
I know it. I guess I'm really happy. This is 20 times better than my tier 2 result. I actually felt this was more earned, more deserved, because that was one of my best performances in this league ever. Better than my tier 2, my season 2 performance. Considering I fell to 18th at the start because I had an absolutely abysmal start, and then just worked my way through the field and got P3 in the end. I'm shocked, but I'm really, really happy with that.
You got the strategy on point. You and Pluto did softs to hards. Well, you got mediums to hards. There was 3 different guys with 3 different strategies on that podium. Pluto softs to hards, Jack softs, medium softs, and you mediums to hards. You got the strategy just enough right to get yourself on the podium today. Other people got the strategy completely wrong. Does this maybe help you and get your confidence? Say, if there's more strategy races such as this, that you can be on the podium?
Yeah, I need a good strategy to get good results. In qualifying, I got so happy when I saw I finished 11th. I like qualifying 11 because I got to start on the mediums, stay out longer and not fall behind the traffic. Although I did end up in traffic in the end, but still I was able to pick those guys off. Somehow gained 4 I was like 4 seconds behind Scratty, right? With like 10 laps to go, and I somehow caught him up. And yeah, I just had great pace on those hards, and yeah, took a P3. Really happy with it.
Me and Milo thought you were done after that first lap. We saw how much you dropped down. Milo picked you as a favorite. I wanted to avoid that because I knew I'd curse. I thought I'd curse. Yeah. So no, I think we both thought that you were done after the first lap. Were you thinking you were possibly done after the first lap, that you have no points, you have no chance, this and that? Did you think strategy was not going to come into play as much as it did?
Surprisingly, no. I actually thought like I'd make some sort of a comeback. Like it's definitely not. I was like, goes my chance of a podium, but I was like, I could still get points because I know I have the pace to beat some of the guys that are in the midfield. And yeah, I guess the moral of the story is just never give up, never stop trying, because you will get the results you needed if you're given the right situation.
Well, congrats on back-to-back podiums, and hopefully you don't get another podium this season, so we can only say you get podiums at Bahrain, I guess, so we can kind of make that joke, I guess. But congrats on the podium. Milo, do you have any questions for Polo?
Yeah, well done. Commanding drive from you today. Just to quote you, you said you had an abysmal start. Can you describe what happened?
Well, I had a off traction pad start where I just completely bogged down, fell to about, it was 16th, but then I kind of got forced off by tax. I kind of clipped my right rear. I'm not sure who was at fault there. I guess it was just racing because it's lap 1. Then more cars just overtook me, including tax, and then just fell to 18th. Then it was just a recovery drive, I guess, just trying to overtake the guys and people's DRS catch up. We were like a few seconds ahead, and somehow pulled it off. So yeah.
I'm still there. Anyway, congrats on the podium, and Milo, I just want to speak to you about that race. Okay, way cleaner and very good. That's what I gotta say. A lot of positive thoughts in this race. I don't think there's much negative things I can think about it. Of course, people made some mistakes and stuff like that, which they ended up retiring for. But overall, I know more retirements, and you could say, oh yeah, well, more retirements means more dirtier racing. Not always. This race actually had a very clean race compared to the Tier 3 and Tier 2 race.
Yeah, first of all, a really close qualifying. The entire field that set laps within 8/10. No particular dirty actions in the race. Drivers retiring in the pit lane, so nobody at fault for that. It was near perfect. And if this is the future of this tier, then I'm all for it. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this season, because with results like that as well, this championship is gonna be great.
It really is. I mean, it's such an unknown. I mean, I thought Tier 3 was an unknown with what's going to happen. I mean, we knew JB88, he had the pace to be up front, and we didn't think Raptor would win that race. And Tier 2 was a big unknown as well. Tier 2, Tripod, you know, he seemed like a guy, you know, he beat you, Paulo, and the whole CCRL stuff, he beat you, and of course, after that, he looked like a Tier 2 favorites. Atlanta, Sam were 2 favorites coming in. Atlanta, Sam with kind of poor races, Sam with an issue at the start, and then as well, people coming back after damage and stuff like that because of safety cars, because of stuff like that. Tripod winning. So you know, the unknowns we had for Tier 2, Tier 3 were big, but not as big as Tier 1. This field reminds me completely of the 2012 and 2008 season, just completely mixed. Of who can win. I think, honestly, if you asked me, I think we could possibly have more than 6 winners this season, and that's a big statement. I think we could. I think it's very possible, but again, it's only the first race. You don't know what could happen, and you can't really predict much from the first race, but you can predict that from qualifying right there. This is going to be a close season, and this may be the most competitive season yet. So, of course, I'm all up for it. As long as we keep having those different winners, I'm fine with it. You know, I'll keep it, and I like the way it's going. If this championship fight's close, goes to the last race, I'll be happy. Anyways, heading to China, Milo, what are you expecting the most out of that?
It's really hard to judge, bearing in mind we haven't raced there yet, 2019 or 2020. I know a lot of drivers don't like it, so if you're one of those people, chances are you might struggle or just not have that consistent pace. So I think, like today, I don't think qualifying will determine the outcome of the race. So if that happens again, yes, come on. Tune in next Sunday, I guess.
Yeah, only 29 viewers today, which isn't bad. It's closer to tier 2 than the previous weeks, but I will say, most for tier 1, which, if that's the case, I'll take it. But hopefully those numbers keep improving. And I was going to say for China, my preview towards China, that racetrack, you could be decided by penalties. That last corner, that's very hard to get right and stay on the track. And more with how stricter this game is, we could be seeing penalties out of there. Out of turn 10, the two left-handers. So I've not commentated a league race there yet, but I've seen league races commentated there, and I've seen a race won on the last corner, the last lap, and because of penalties. And that's why I think this race could be good. We could see that this weekend. Strict qualifying for all tiers, 50% races for all tiers. We return next week at China. Glad to have you guys on board. Glad to have the podium celebration kind of back as well. Glad to have ARL back as well. I think everyone's glad to have it back, but now we've got a good season on us. We should see you guys next week in China. It should be a good one. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.